Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Dr. Christiane, podcast host of the Happy Healthy Hustle, TEDx speaker, and author. Please enjoy Dr. Christiane. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Dr. Christiane, podcast host of the Happy Healthy Hustle, TEDx speaker, and author. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Maury. Listeners, this is going to be a good one. So I'm so glad you are here.
I am so glad you are here as well. And I agree. I can't wait to dig into creativity with you. But before we get there, would you mind sharing just a bit more about who you are and what it is you do?
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Christiane. I am actually a professor. That's how I have my PhD, earned my PhD in health economics. And we can chat more about that too, because that's definitely always a piece of curiosity. And now I'm a professor. I teach innovation, entrepreneurship, marketing, and I help creatives such as writers, speakers, as well as people that just want to start a small business. I help them really scale their business, make money, and fulfill their dreams. So one of my books is called Discover Your Superpower, and that's what I'm all about.
Oh, I love it. I love discovering your superpowers, and I want to I want to dive into that, but I'm so curious. What is health economics, if you wouldn't mind breaking that down for us?
So it really connects your body, right? So your wellness together with making conscious choices about prices and your income level. So in a certain way, it's really how you lead your day every day. When you go to the grocery store, when you look at a shelf, you're deciding, is that something that looks good? And is that something that fits my budget? And so I essentially created a model that looked at making healthy choices over the course of a year that would maybe be just small swaps. And I call them actually petite practice, right? And now I trademarked it. So for instance, instead of drinking a full sugar Coca-Cola, you would drink maybe a diet Coke or maybe reduced sugar Coke. And over the course of a year, it would really improve your health quite tremendously. So these small little shifts lead to a big impact. And that's what I investigated in my dissertation. And I showed how it can reduce obesity in the long run, just making small changes, whether you would walk more, whether you could swap small little food or beverage choices. And then, of course, it ties in also with making it more attractive food that's maybe healthy or unhealthy. And I mean, it's quite fun that you asked this question, because now I'm still working with this, not at this super microeconomic level, but I presented my TED Talk about petite practice and how it can change your life.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love just the reminder that small changes equal big change in the end and how it can impact us. So thank you for doing this work and sharing it with us. Yeah. When you think of creativity, and I know that you dig into creativity in the work that you do, what does it mean to you to be creative?
I think that it ties in with superpower. Each of us have a way to show our superpower, and each of us have a way to tie creativity to our superpower. So for some people, creativity could be vocal, right? It could be singing, it could be, playing an instrument or anything like that. But for some people, it could be art, it could be drawing, it could be creating something with your hands, such as pottery. And for some people, of course, now talking, of course, business related, it also means that you're bringing your creativity to your work and you're showing the very best of who you are, that superpower that was talked about. So am a very creative individual myself. All of my books are super visual because I'm a
Mm,
visual learner. When I memorize names, I always try to focus on something visual about the person,
mm,
and that helps me anchor their name in my mind, my mind. So I
mhm,
never say I'm not good at memorizing names. That's just a lame excuse. I basically really focus on, all right, what is it about the name and the person that I visually can connect to memorize it?
mm,
And same thing with my work. I always try to think about, all right, so how do I see these concepts visually all tying together? Is it a flow chart? Is it a
mhm,
Venn diagram? How can I really explain this? And I think that is really what creativity is, that you're translating something complex that might even tie in with emotions, with feelings, into something that explains it to other people. So when they look at it, it might evoke other feelings, but at the same time, they still see what went through your mind when you created this.
I love that. I love that definition, the translating something complex piece into something that others can connect with or recognize. And I mean, oh, my goodness, I have so many questions about all of the work. I want to know more about discovering your superpower and what goes into that and how you came up with this work. How did you get introduced to finding your own superpower?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I think that, so you hear my accent,
Mhm.
that I am from Germany,
Mm,
right? And I think that we all have that voice in us. And it's not always necessarily that you need to be the loudest in the room or that you need to always speak about a certain topic, but there is a certain deeper meaning that you have that you want to share with the world, something you're
mhm,
really passionate about. And
mhm,
when I lived in Germany, I was kind of seeking for that, and I
mm,
knew that it was somewhere in this world,
mhm,
but it wasn't really coming out, so to speak. So I actually changed location, and
mm,
just by moving to the United States, all of a sudden I felt my environment let out my creativity. So
mm,
I felt more aligned with
mhm,
my outer self and my inner self, and my creativity just started flowing. And I think that sometimes happens. It's just
mhm,
like artists sometimes need a certain space or a certain surrounding or even like a certain time of the day to really be their best, their most creative, right? Their
mhm,
best self, where they align their creative flow together, with
yes.
their productivity. And that's really what
Mhm,
happened. So I
mhm,
moved from Germany to the United States, earned my PhD, and then I moved from the Midwest at Purdue, is where I earned my PhD, now to California.
mhm.
And once I stepped out of that plane, Mari, I have to tell you, I just felt the creative juices were flowing.
Mm, I love when that happens.
Yes. So I get for me, it's a lot about water. I need to be close to
Mm,
the water. That's really
mhm,
when I feel my creative is the best, right?
mm,
Maybe
mhm.
it's something to do with my horoscope sign, right? I'm a Cancer. Who knows what that is? But frequently the best ideas I get in the shower.
Mm, I love that. It's a great reminder, that when we're doing mundane tasks, that's when our subconscious mind gets to do more work. We don't have to think so much about it. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that we get a lot of ideas in the shower and around water with that flow
Oh.
experience. And so, would you mind sharing a little bit more about what do you consider your superpower to be?
Mm. I love energizing people. For
Mm,
me, it's all about energy.
hmm
I'm a really good listener and I try to feel the energy of a person and then figure out what do they need in that moment. Do they need inspiration? Do they need calm? So it's
mm,
not always about being the rah-rah person, but it's
hmm
also just being a good listener, or maybe not even saying anything, right? Just
mm,
being a good um like a good companion. Let's use that
hmm
word, right? And so I know that it's sometimes hard what people go through.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy is an important task.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I love this video by Brene Brown where
Mm-hmm.
somebody is in this whole, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then somebody just kind of calls down and says, "Do you need anything?" I personally believe that's a very poor question when somebody is not feeling well. So my superpower is I will climb down the ladder
Mm-hmm.
in that little video, and I will sit with that person in that hole, and I will try to figure out, all right, so they might not even know what they need,
Yeah.
but you have to kind of tune in with them. So that's my superpower, that I feel the energy that they have and what do they need in that particular moment,
Mm.
and really being there for them.
I
I think
love
that's very.
that.
Mhm,
Yeah, absolutely. It's the that connection, the support, compassion, all of those pieces that we have as humans to share with others.
mhm,
I'm curious when you were writing your books, and
mhm.
I imagine it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it wasn't the easiest experience, that there might have been challenges or pieces that came up that
Yeah.
you had to work through. When you're faced with creative challenges, how do you navigate them?
I actually talk about that in my TEDx talk.
Mm.
It- so when I wrote my dissertation, my very first big book, so to speak, right?
Yes.
What I did was I first looked at the deadline. So I set myself this, like I have whatever, 6 months to write this.
Hmm.
A very ambitious deadline. And how many pages do I have?
Mm.
150 pages. And then I took the 6 month and I anchored all deadlines in the 6 month that I needed. I
Mm.
needed to turn in the dissertation here to be printed. I needed to
Mhm.
present the dissertation in front of the committee on this date. And then I really became very realistic. All right, to meet all these deadlines,
Mhm.
2 pages a day.
Mm.
So that's my petite practice. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, it didn't feel so overwhelming. So sometimes when you write a book, it's like, oh my gosh, 150 pages. I have no idea how to even get started.
Mhm.
But really, you have to simplify it. And that
Mm.
ties in really with my coaching. The
Mhm.
first step is always simplify. And all of a sudden, you
Mm.
feel you can get started because it gives you an entryway into a daily manageable task that
Yeah.
also builds momentum. And
Mm.
momentum builds action.
Absolutely. I love that reminder of, simplification or breaking something down into, as you say, petite practices or bite-sized pieces so that you can feel, so that you're not setting yourself up for failure
Mhm.
in those moments. Absolutely. When you sit down, what happens if 2 pages doesn't
Yeah.
come up? What do you do next?
Yeah, and actually that's so the whole process is called step, right? So the first step was that simplification. The second step is the tell. So when you
Mm.
say you plan on writing 2 pages a day, and then you tell others, you're like, oh yeah, I'm writing a book. And
Oh, okay.
you're writing a book, and there are these people that are like writing a book, or there are these people, oh my gosh, I can't wait to read it. Send it to me. And
Mhm.
you're like, I haven't actually written anything, right?
Mhm.
So now you're looking at the screen and you're like, well, I already told a bunch of people I'm going to write this book.
Oh.
Where are those 2 pages coming from? On
Mhm.
some days, I have to tell you, the pages will come quick. And you're like,
Mhm.
should I write more? Don't do that, right? 2 pages are amazing. On some days, those pages might not be the best, but the goal is you still complete it.
Mm.
So it could just be that, you use like a voice recording and you
Mm.
walk around. It sometimes helps me walking. Sometimes I have like a mental block. And when I
Mhm.
walk, I'm like, okay, I think I got something now. And then
Mm.
I just quickly voice record it. And then when I come back to the computer, I look at my voice notes and then I type it up. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the tell it helps because it speaks your goal into existence and it makes your
Mm.
goal, brings it into the current moment.
Mhm.
Right. And then that's your S, simplify telling it.
Mhm.
E is for examining it. So now you see what worked. As I
Mm.
mentioned, voice notes worked for me.
Mhm.
That's my E for examine. Or what felt good. taking the shower, taking the quick walk around the block in between, maybe
Mm-hmm.
sharing it with others. That's all my E for examine. And then the last thing, the P, is for praise progress. You also have to be proud of yourself and you have to share the little progress. Let's say you wrote 5 days in a row, you got
Mm-hmm.
10 pages. You can say, I just completed page 10 of my
Mm-hmm.
manuscript. High five to me, you know, and that's pretty amazing. So, yeah, simplify, tell, examine, praise progress, and you will see your book comes together.
I love that. And the praise progress is so something that I do in my work, celebrating the small wins. So any small thing is celebrated so that we continue to build momentum and keep going. I love how seeing where our work intersects and that experience. When you are working with people who are struggling to find their creative voice,
Mhm.
how do you encourage them to find creativity in their life? Or is there a process that you go through to find someone's creative voice?
Yeah, there is a process. So, in my books, actually, I use worksheets
Mm,
and we kind of tap into really going through them. So, I explain the process and I give them time to go through the worksheets themselves. But it's really important that you also think of your creativity at first. You might not be fully aligned with it. So
mm,
during the coaching, frequently what I realize is that people sometimes hold back a little bit.
mhm,
It's nearly like a color, right? I see it a little bit muted at first.
mm, mhm,
And then over time, it becomes much brighter and it's like you're putting it in focus. And
mm,
that's frequently what happens with my clients. That at the
mhm,
beginning, they're not quite sure about it. And it's again, it's finding it and then writing it in the worksheets. But now here's the magic what happens, Maury. So let's say at the end of the first month, we look back through the books and through the worksheets
mhm,
and I get this all the time, and I have over 500 testimonials of
mhm.
people. And most of the time, the testimonials say something like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much I learned about myself and how much I grew."
Mm.
And it's just so mind blowing. And when I look back, I can't believe the progress I made. So people look back and they're like, "Yeah, I understand now.
Mm.
This is my superpower and this is how I align with myself to really bring out the best in myself." And I love that moment, this big aha moment when the superpower just fully shows up and it's shining and it's like, here we go.
Oh, that's amazing to hear and to be a part of and to
Hmm.
experience with people when everything aligns and they have those, as you said, aha moments to
Yep.
recognize their superpower. What a gift to be able to participate in that and share it with people. That's amazing. Yeah.
And I think also it's beautiful because sometimes people hold back for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about that, it frequently has to do also with an experience you had in the past to
Mm.
where maybe you're like, well, I've tried that and it just didn't work. We all change. So sometimes
Yeah.
revisiting something creative that you have done, let's say last week, last month, last year, could be that all of a sudden what you had put down back then
Mm.
becomes interesting again. So
Mm.
we change and our interests change as well. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful thing about being human, that we are in this transformation, constant transformation. Our interests change, our taste change, our preferences change, and our creativity changes too, our
Yeah.
creative outlets. So as a creative, I always encourage you, you have to give yourself the permission slip. If you
Mm.
don't love this thing, then let it be and just put it on the back burner for a little while, just let it simmer,
Mm.
and let's maybe pursue right now what you're really passionate about. But we're not going to start like
Mm.
10 projects and have them all there. I
Mhm.
usually just focus on like three and then focus on the majority of the one where the passion lies, and then we can
Mm.
revisit the other ones when you kind of like feel it's a good moment to evaluate, to examine those. But
Mm.
again, you have to give yourself the permission slip. If
Yes.
if it doesn't drive your passion anymore, the
Mm.
creativity is going to show that as well.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, in your own experience with your own creativity and your
Mhm.
passion,
Yep.
when you bump up against that same thing that you were just talking about for your clients, how do
Mm.
you navigate your own? Do you set it aside and come back to it later? Do you move forward? Do you tease things apart? How do you rediscover your own passion for what you're working on?
That's a great question. So let's say, for instance, for me, it's actually quite simple. Like I recently just completely rebranded my coloring, so you can
Mm.
you can't see, but when you go to my website, you will be able to see the coloring of my brand is all about the French color, right?
Mm.
The French flag. It's this navy blue, this kind of beautiful, rich maroon red, let's call it like
Mhm.
that, right? And then it's also this cream white.
Mm.
And those are the colors of the French flag.
Mhm.
Now, the reason why I chose it is because I trademarked Petite Practice.
Mm.
Initially, my colors were different.
Mhm.
It was this bright coral because I live close to the ocean in California, and it was completely different. But all of a sudden, I didn't enjoy going to my own website anymore. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I realized I started to listen to my inner voice that it always kind of happened. And I was like, I think I need to get rid of some of these colors
Mm.
because they don't align with my brand anymore.
Mhm.
And then it was like the one voice that was saying, I don't like the color. And the other voice that was saying, but it's a lot of work. So
Yes.
to go through and change all the branding,
Mm.
all the color.
Mhm.
And you know what? I basically just pulled off the band-aid and I just did it. It was a
Mhm.
very messy process. I just from one day to the next day, basically decided, all right, I'm just going to start on this page,
Mm.
and I don't care that the other pages look like that, old. I'm just
Mhm.
going to make one page pretty, and it's a petite practice. And I
Yeah.
just start with one, and then I'm going to move on to the other ones.
Mm.
Because guess what? I don't have a design team doing this for me. I'm doing this
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah.
And I think that was the best process because
Mm.
it really allowed me to just do one that I felt comfortable with. It's kind of like when you clean up your home,
Mhm.
right? Arrange the rooms, and you have one room you're like, oh yeah, this is actually really good. I can see it now.
Mhm.
And then you move on to the next room. That's how it was. So as a creative, sometimes having that one piece
Mm.
sometimes really fuels the momentum to move on to the next. And you
Mm.
have to let go, right? I mean, you can't be the perfectionist. Like it's like, oh my gosh, I still could do this and this and this. I just had to let go. I was like, all right, so now this is pretty good. I'm going to move on to the next page. And
Yeah.
I'm always aiming for that. This is pretty good moment. And I have to let go. Yeah.
That is such a refreshing reminder that this is good and I have to let go and move
Yeah.
on. Because I think for many people, we can really kind of hold on to something and live in that perfection space. And sometimes it just needs to be good enough to keep moving
Exactly.
forward. So,
It's so hard, and especially as a creative. And let me just give you this one example. As a speaker, right?
mm,
I always point out two things when I watch my clients present. One is if they, for instance, have slides in the background,
mm,
sometimes they say something like, "Oh, I know you can't see this." It's like if you wouldn't have said this, nobody would have even thought about this, right?
right.
Point out the obvious, right?
Mm,
Like maybe it is too small, but you don't
hmm
even need to say it. Just move on, right? So that's the one thing. You don't need to draw attention to it.
hmm
And nobody else even like it crossed their mind because they weren't even like going down that road. Or if you have a typo on it, don't worry about pointing it out. Most people might not even notice, right? So that's the one thing with speakers that I see a lot. And with creatives, it's
hmm
sometimes the same thing. If you have like a piece of art or you designed a book or whatever, don't say, well, I could have probably done a better job. It's like, don't talk to yourself like that. Talk to yourself like you're your best friend.
Oh.
You know what? I did a really good job with this cover. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually quite proud about the way that it turned out. And if people compliment on you, just say thank you. I really
Mm.
appreciate the kind words. Don't say, yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, yeah, it wasn't very my best work. It's like, what are you saying? Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking that creatives are just so hard on themselves because
Yes.
there is that eye for perfection, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to let go of that.
Yeah. It's so hard to do, but having someone support you and moving
Yeah.
past it and recognizing that it's not going to make or break whatever it is you're doing if it's not perfect is important. Yeah.
Always, always progress over perfection.
Mm.
Progress over perfection. For me, with the petite practice,
Yeah.
I always say I would rather like to see 5 pieces of creative work
Mm.
than the one that you feel is like perfect because
Hmm.
it's it just showcases you much more
Mm.
than having this one thing. And
Hmm.
and that one might not even tune in necessarily with your target market. So maybe
Mm.
being a little bit more like a table, right, with like
Hmm.
multiple legs to the table builds a much better base for your business than just putting it all in that one basket that's really wobbly because it's just this one thing that you are building on.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing all of these pieces and giving us the glimpses into your own process and your own superpower. If people want to learn more about the work that you have in the world, the books, how could they go about doing that?
Well, I would love that you watch my TED Talk.
Mm.
The TEDx talk is on tiny URL. Watch TEDx. That's my link right here. Or you can watch more of my talks there at tiny URL. Dr. CS, Dr. written out, Dr. CS. And there you can watch my TED Talk and some other keynotes that I have given. And of course, go to my website, drchristiane.com, where you can check out my amazing Discover Your Superpower quiz and learn a little bit more about yourself.
I love it. Well, I will put links to all of that in show notes so people have easy access. I just have one last question for you.
Mhm.
What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Happy and joyful. Yeah. I feel
Wonderful.
I feel joy because I feel I'm sharing something with the world that will actually make my corner of the world a better place.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Christiana, for taking the time to chat with me. This has been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much, audience, for tuning in, and thank you, Mari, for being an amazing host.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.